The Suicide Squad 2021 is a film from the highly controversial director James Gunn, and it stars Idris Elba and Margot Robbie. This is a sequel slash rehash slash redo of the 2016 version of the film that didn't do very well. It's about some criminals who try and shave time off their sentences by doing dirty work for the US government. And yes, I mentioned US government because, as you can imagine, there is some wokeness in this film, but not quite as much as you may think. Talk about this in my next conservative take. Hello, my name is Kyle, and if you're unfamiliar with the way I do my movie reviews, please click the card right here, and that will tell you everything you need to know. Also, this will contain spoilers, but we will warn you with a note right here as well. So before I get into my review score for the story and the plot, I'm going to talk to you about the elephant in the room, and that is the director, James Gunn, who was fired from Disney for inappropriate tweets in the middle of the Me Too movement, which happened to be years ago, but they are pretty disturbing. I won't tell you what they were, but I will mention that in the conservative take of how you can go check that out if you want to, and why I have a problem with him as a director, but I'm trying to keep it confined just to this particular film and what he put on the screen. So, that being said, this film is a superhero film or comic book film about a bunch of bad guys, which are criminals who are in prison for violent things, okay? But they have certain skills and the government wants them for their own nefarious purposes. It's the US government. I'll talk about that in the conservative take section, which, by the way, is going to be the spoiler section. So, they're on a mission, they have things to do, they crack jokes along the way. It stars Idris Elba and Margot Robbie and a few others. It's a pretty good story overall, but they do the subversion of expectation. In other words, they try to surprise you and shock you, so expect the unexpected. So for that, I give this film a 7 for the story and for the plot. All right, now for my emotional impact for this film, I'm going to give it a 6, mainly because it's pretty funny in spurts. And aside from that, I really don't care about any of the characters, maybe besides Idris Elba. That's pretty much going to be it. So my emotional tie to this film wasn't really there. Frankly, it had some boring parts in it, and the violence, even though it was well choreographed, it got a little boring as well. They tried to be shocking on it, but at this day and age, you've seen just about everything, so a 6 for emotional impact. So before I get into the intangibles, which is a very broad category, let me talk about how difficult it is sometimes to evaluate a film, separating it from the person that made it, in this case directed it, from the body of work of which it is. The body of work is amazing. I have no problems for the most part in terms of the production, the direction, the acting, aside from maybe John Cena, because John Cena totally sold himself out. I'll leave a link to that below. And when he did that in real life, I didn't like that. And he's playing sort of a clown character in this film. And so it took me out of the film. So for me, that dropped it half a notch. But overall, James Gunn, who also did the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, is a fantastic director. There's no debating that. And Guardians of the Galaxy is very much a similar film in style. Teams that come together, of different people come together. Just that this is an R-rated film, and it's a hard R. I mean, this is a hard R. Keep all kids away whatsoever, including some adults if you don't like extreme, excessive violence. But this film is very, very well made, okay? But for me, separating that from who made it, I'm trying my best not to count it off in this particular category. So for that, I'm going to give this film an 8 for intangibles. Soundtrack's good, the acting's good. It's got a Academy Award-winning, triple acting award-winning, Tony, Daytime Emmy, and Oscar-winning Viola Davis. And of course, Idris Elba is amazing. And Margot Robbie does a fantastic job. The cast is wonderful. The script is wonderful. It's a little bit forced in some issues, and you see a lot of these same things in Guardians of the Galaxy, but it still works, okay? So with that, again, I'm gonna give this film an 8 because it's firing on all cylinders in most categories. So for the category of watchability, I'm going to give this film a 6 because I was bored in some parts. I really was. And it was kind of weird. I was just expecting it to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. This film is set up perfectly for that particular type of film. And there's no living up to Guardians of the Galaxy. So if I want to see the same type of quips and same kind of jokes and adventure done really better, I'd go watch that any day of the week. Then watch this again, because this is really, really violent. Plus, I don't really care about Margot Robbie and her character. I do like Idris Elba here, and John Cena, I wouldn't pay to watch him again. So 6 to me is probably generous. Okay, so for my overall rating for this film, and this is my opinion after watching a film, just if someone would ask me, what are your thoughts of it from a scale from 1 to 10, I would say this would be a 6, because for all the reasons I mentioned before. So now we've come to my conservative take section, so please be mindful of spoilers. First things first, let's talk about James Gunn and some of the more controversial things in this film that I can't mention here on YouTube. So if you go to the link below and to become a GATE member of our website, it's 100% free. It's easy to sign up. You do that, it'll give you access to another video where I say everything that I can't say in this video as well as other videos. Unfortunately, sign of the times is what we have to do nowadays. But I do want to talk about a couple things. Okay, so the overall plot of the film, and this is kind of what the wokeness comes in, and it's about how America is essentially bad, or at least one division of them is bad. And that's played by Viola Davis, who is over this organization, who is a undercover black ops group that takes on big projects. But this project is to cover up a crime of the US who co-opted or worked with another country to create a underground substance or entity that got out and became unleashed and is now detrimental to the entire world, and then trying to cover up the collusion that the US government had with this foreign country to bring out this entity. And if you can read between the lines, or what I'm trying to get at, it's very similar to what we're experiencing right now. Again, check out that video on the GATE on our website, and you will see exactly what I got to say there, and you'll understand. So that's one thing. And the last thing is, and this is kind of petty, but there is a character in the film who can control rats. She can control them by the millions. And she uses that power to bring down the big baddie, big starfish at the end. This, by the way, it's kind of weird. It kind of took me out of the film, but it's kind of a comedy anyway, so it kind of was able to get away with it. However, in that came down, and they asked her, why are we using rats? What's the big deal about rats? And she said, or her dad told her, that rats are the lowliest of creatures, so if they can do something and change the world, so can you. And see, to me, this can be read two ways. One is that rats are lowly and humans are superior to rats, which we are in God's eyes, and therefore we can do things in that capacity as being superior in God's eyes. Or you can look at it as we're equal to rats, and if they can do things, we can too, because, well, they're equal and we're equal. And so to me, that is a good way of forming a woke agenda without being over the top woke. The director leaves things up to the viewer's discretion, which is what I like. If it's not actively part of the story, then take it out. If you want to have a social agenda, then make it ambiguous. At least you're not playing politics. At least you're thinking about it. Like the movie Parasite. That movie is a perfect example because there was a lot of ambiguous things in there, which you can say, well, is capitalism bad? Or maybe it's not bad. You're thinking about it, you're discussing it, you're formulating an opinion. And this film has that, and I give it a lot of credit to that regard. It could have gone straight woke and really made me upset, but it really didn't. And I thought it was pretty well done, and I hope Hollywood takes this formula and goes with it across the board, because people really want to be entertained and they don't want to be reminded of politics. But again, there's politics in there if you want to read into it, but then again, if you just want to watch it and be entertained, then maybe it's not. And so for my conservative take on this film, I'm going to give this a no, simply because of the level of violence, not because it's not woke, just because in good conscience, I can't recommend this film to people to see it when the violence is just for the shock value. I'm not against R films to be recommended for a conservative take, but this film, I just can't do it. So for my final take on this film, I give it 12.75, which translates to 3 stars and a no for my conservative take. Now, if you are someone who doesn't mind the violence, the gratuitous violence, then I would go as high as a go, because like I said in my other section of this review, the spoiler section, that, hey, this film leaves that kind of stuff up to interpretation, which I really appreciate, and I hope Hollywood takes heed to that, because it's a good middle ground. The directors can kind of say what they want to say, but not really be in your face, and the watcher, the viewer, can say, well, he said that, but he might have meant this, and now at least you can save face in your mind, I guess. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Do you plan on seeing the Suicide Squad, the 2021 version? And if you have, let me know what your thoughts are. Also, when you do see it, come back and check out the spoiler section of this review if you hadn't seen it already. And let me know your thoughts there, because I'm curious to know on that, because I kind of went out on a limb there with my assessment, but I'm open to any sort of discussion on that. And lastly, if you go to the gate on the website, tell me what you think about that video as well, and if you agree there as well, but make sure you comment over there and not on YouTube. And with that, please check out some more videos that we have picked out for you right